Mind, Body and Spirit. This podcast is dedicated to individuals who are on a quest to uncover their truth, understanding their genetic and spiritual DNA, and learning how to harness this knowledge to achieve optimal health. But this isn't just another health podcast. Natural Podcast is here to ignite a spark of hope within you, reminding you of your innate potential for greatness. You are pure love, capable of living life to its fullest expression. Are you ready to embark on a transformational journey to achieve optimal health? In today's episode, we have Brylie, who calls herself an accidental astrologer. Brylie originally explored astrology for fun and purposes while she was working in her corporate leadership role and ended up loving it. She then spent all her days while recovering from a health condition learning, studying and researching the ancient language of the stars. This led her to finding a natural talent and passion for reading people's astrology charts and revealing to them through their astrology how uniquely perfect they are. Brylie uses tropical Western astrology, step system astrology, and medical astrology to interpret charts and considers herself a lifelong student of astrology. Brylie is also an occupational therapist, certified master NLP coach, and practitioner of an integrative health practitioner in training. Brylie lives, works, and plays in the Wathaurong country in Victoria, Australia, with her girlfriend and their Siberian cat called Forest. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, Brylie.
Thank you for having me. So excited.
You are most welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I've been wanting to get you on this podcast for I could even say years. I was going to say months, but I can literally say years.
Yeah, I know. We nearly did last year, but it didn't happen. We went gallivanting around Europe.
Yeah, I did. And then yesterday you called me and you're like, hey, let's record tomorrow. And I was like, okay, where did this come from? And apparently you said something to me like, oh, the stars, something's happening with the stars and we should record tomorrow. What was that? What was it again? You said something.
So today is a net 7 day in Virgo. And when I talk about net 7, it's around the step system in astrology. And this was channeled through Christopher Witecki. And so giving him full credit for this amazing system, he was able to channel in information about the different degrees where the sun moves every day and what those degrees mean. So it's kind of like numerology, but it's different. And we've talked about that a lot in that it does have some differences. But today is a net 7 day, and that's very spiritual, very much divinely led. It's intuitive. And Pisces is the ruler of net 7, and Pisces is all about the immune system and about your health, opposite Virgo, which is the season we're in now. So it just seemed to all fit together to me.
Yeah, and we just made it happen. We're like, yep, yeah, let's record.
Done.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds amazing. I love all of that with the Virgo information. And then you called me and I was just like, yep, let's do it. Let's record. And here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really you need to work with the energy sometimes. So that's what happened.
We're just going to let it flow today. And, just letting everyone know there's no script here. We have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about. Well, the topic is going to be healing through the stars, how astrology can guide us to your wellness journey with Astrologer Brylie Gorman, right? That's the topic, but it's so broad. And what's going to come out today, I'm just fascinated. I can't wait. I'm excited.
So am I. Let's see.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Brylie. Like, what have you been up to? I mean, when I was reading your bio, we've mentioned a few things about some health issues. We mentioned your cat. We've mentioned NLP, astrology, medical astrology. There's a lot of things there. So what's kind of led you to here now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So mostly why I'm an astrologer now is because of my health. And I think it's really interesting when you go through something where you have a chronic condition or something that really makes you surrender to your life. You get guided through that process, even though it's super hard at the time. I can look back now and go, okay, I was guided here. I had no idea why I signed up. I literally knew my Leo sun sign, and then I signed up to a $1,000 training, and I had no idea why I did that. And it literally started the next day. And I was having trouble with screens. Just a little backstory. 2020, everyone's got a story. I had a little health condition. It lasted a long time where I ended up having vestibular migraine symptoms, I guess, where my eyesight was blurry. I couldn't drive, came on quite suddenly. had multiple migraines through the weeks, and really struggled with screens. So I was like, why have I signed up to this course when I can't even watch a screen? But I committed to it. Something in me just went, yes, do this. And as soon as I started, I was like, this is it. Like, I don't know why, it just was something that I wanted to share with everybody, tell everybody about, and make sure that I read everybody's charts around me. And then just as my energy was still recovering and I ended up leaving my corporate job, and I thought, well, why don't I just take my time and build this business up and learn astrology, and then expanded into medical astrology, and now I'm teaching astrology, and my whole life is about astrology.
It's all happening. I love how it just kind of fell in your lap. You said you signed up for it, and then like literally the next day it started.
Yeah, it was
That's
literally
insane.
the next day. I wasn't even following this person. It was I don't even know how it happened, to be honest. In hindsight, I just needed to be there. And they were actually a Sagittarius rising, which I'm a Sagittarius rising, and I think just the way that they taught and their style I really resonated with, and yeah, here we are today.
That's absolutely amazing. So we already know a lot about you. We know that you're a Leo, you're a Sagittarius rising. You already told us your whole astrology.
Can't help myself. An oversharer.
Oh, I love that. How did you find the course? Like going through it, like was it challenging? Was it because you wouldn't have had any? Did you have any astrology knowledge beforehand?
Zero. It was one of those things where, it can sound far-fetched, but I know I've done it before because I just knew the language. It was logically put in a way that just made me take it all in. I don't really know. But because of my health condition, I couldn't actually, as I said, look at screens much. And so while I was very fatigued and out of it on the couch, I just listened. I listened to podcasts. I listened to astrology trainings. I just took in like 4 to 5 hours every day of astrology information.
Wow, 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, because I had nothing else to do. Literally all I was doing was playing solitaire cards. And, I said I was Leo and Sag rising. I've already given a lot away. I'm very fiery. I've got a lot of fire energy. And I was forced to be still and slow for a long time. And I can see in my chart why that was. But yeah, other than playing cards and solitaire, it was like listen to astrology, and that's how it all started. And I did try and create my business more around nervous system practices and health and the things that I've learned and my health coaching that I'd done. It just didn't fit. It was always astrology would always come up. And then being able to combine health and astrology was just game breaking. Like that was amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you finished the course, were you like to every single person, I don't need to know your name. I want to know where you were born, what time you were born, what date, and then I will know everything about you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did that to you, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did. It was absolutely crazy to let the audience know. Yeah, Brylie, I went to Brylie to do an astrology reading, and I was like mind blown. I literally sat there and I was like, how does this stranger know my deepest, darkest, like fears, anxieties, my passion, my wants, needs, desires, who I am as a person, what makes me want things, what makes me not want things. Like it was mind blowing, and it was all like in an hour and a half or 2 hours because we couldn't stop talking, or maybe even 3 hours, who knows. And it was like I was like taking notes, but I was like, it was just mind blowing. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt understood, I felt whole. I was just like, how is this possible? And yeah, I've previously never had an astrology reading done before, so this was the first time. So as you go in, you're like, I wonder what they're going to tell me about me. What's not real? How can I find the faults in this? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How can I find the
you
faults
already
in
had
this?
knowledge of astrology too, so you were probably like, oh, hold on, because we did our medical astrology together, and so you already knew how your chart worked. The thing I love about astrology is there's so many, because it's such an ancient language, there's so many different accents that people use to how they describe a chart. And so it is consistently a lifelong journey to keep diving into your chart and finding more information. I've learned something new, I would say every day of my chart. You tell me different things. Like I think of something or I hear something and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to look at that in my chart. And I learn a deeper level of myself that I hadn't known. And that's what makes me love it so much, is because there's a level of, like you said, this openness to understanding and accepting yourself, that you, by having somebody just repeat your energy back to you that is somehow magically on a piece of paper or on a screen.
Like what?
What? Like, I still don't know how the magic actually works with it. But it's like, yeah, being truly seen, like you said, is such a powerful gift. And that is amazing for your health and healing in general, because you're healing your relationship with yourself first and foremost. And I know for myself, when I did that and I learned that, you know, my body was fast, my mind was fast and my body was really slow, I was able to navigate and shift my environment to match my unique energy, not trying to be like anybody else. And I'm sure you were the same when you learned things about your chart.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, you just kind of felt seen and you're like, ooh, is that how my communication works? Is that how my brain works? Is that how I process things? I know the audience listening and be like, what are these two talking about? So essentially what happens is, let's turn it back a little bit. Essentially, you give your whole information to Brylie and then she just does all this magical stuff. No. So you need to know your date of birth, right? So the date you were born, the location you were born at, but also your time of birth. And that's sometimes a bit difficult for some people, isn't it, Brylie? Some people have absolutely no idea the time of birth. So, like, let's go to that question. How important is time of birth?
Look, it is super important. It's kind of unfortunately in astrology, because I kind of wish that it wasn't, but it is. You have the top three placements that we go off in either medical astrology or tropical Western astrology is your sun, your rising, and your moon. And your rising and your moon can be different placements. Your rising in particular changes every 4 minutes, the degree, depending on when you were born. So even if you get...
minutes.
Yeah, every 4 minutes. So even if you get a... so that's a degree points every 4 minutes.
Okay.
Even if you get a, you know, somebody hasn't recorded your birth time correctly, you could be one or the other, you know, you could be 1 degree more or the other. And when I'm using step system, and I'm using degrees, that's really important. When you're not using step system, it's not as important. It's a couple of hours, but it still is something that we need to tell you where your moon and your rising is and give you a better indication of your own energy, because something might feel off otherwise. But unfortunately, that's not really recorded on birth certificates and things like that. So
I wonder why. Anyway, we won't go there. We will leave it there.
Exactly.
So if someone doesn't know the birth time, like, what can they do?
There are like retrograde processes. So
Yeah.
where these are amazing astrologers, where they actually map out certain events in your life and then work backwards to work out what that would mean and how it would all work. Like, that is just amazing work. Definitely above my my logical brain. What I do with people if they don't know their birth time is there's a couple of things we can do. For one, use their own intuition. There's, you know, you have this knowledge already in you, so how can you actually bring that out? Not everyone's comfortable with that, but you can use things like pendulum or muscle testing, things like that, to check what time of birth resonates. Ask people stories around you. So, you know, ask your uncle or your auntie or a family friend or somebody who was kind of around there, who wasn't in the depth of your birth situation, but was like, oh yeah, the footy was on and Carlton won or whatever. There's usually something, you know, we just went out for dinner and then we got the text message, like, or the phone call, whatever it was. And so that's a good way of kind of narrowing things down. And then I usually just get on a call with them and work out, you know, does this feel a lot more like you? What about this? And I just check where everything kind of lands if we move things around. It's not my favorite way of doing things. I like to be exact, and I like to give you exactly. So if you can ask the hospitals as well and get FOIs if you were born in a hospital, and get that information, but some hospitals get rid of that information. So there's a few options.
There's definitely a few options there.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the part of asking people around you that were around there. But also the thing is, you know, if you yourself are giving birth or your partner's giving birth or you know someone's giving birth, you be that person with that watch. And as soon as it comes out, you record it, all right? You'll be the hero of the family, of the friends. You will be that hero.
Yes, I love that. I remember that story. Our medical astrologer shared that story when she had her daughter, Kira Sutherland, and she made the doctor look, she looked, her husband was taking time, like everyone was taking different time and calibrating.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, you know now. You know now, people. So what you have to do.
You know now, 100%. So, you know, now that you've got the time and things like that, and then I guess what happens is you get like a natal chart made. And this is your natal chart, and this does not change. There are things like transits and progress and return and so many other charts that you can do. But we're going to be talking today mainly about the natal chart, which is your energy, what's happened, where the stars were when you came out.
Yes.
Like, how magical is that? Like, think about that. It's like a picture of like where the stars were. Oh my God, like the planets, where the planets were and what was happening above while you were being born below. Like, that's just so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's like you're being imprinted as soon as you take that first breath, right? So you're taking that first independent breath. Previously, you were connected to somebody
everywhere.
else.
Like,
and then
I just literally got goosebumps everywhere. Like, literally. Like, that is magical.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, so you take this first breath and then in that energy, so if we talk about, there's a lot we don't know, right? And that's, you know, some people might be listening to this going, this is like I don't get it. Like, this is insane. What do you mean? We don't know a lot about energy. And so when we take that first breath, that is energy that we're taking in. The way that I believe and what I like to think is that we're imprinted from our perspective on Earth with what is happening above us. And these are the expressions that look at me pointing up. These are the expressions that we need to experience in this lifetime because we have these lessons or we need this growth and we want to experience this. We might have a really simple chart, natal chart that doesn't have many hiccups throughout our lives because, you know, I believe in past lives. Past lives were really absolutely insane. And so we needed this one to calibrate and come back within ourselves. So there's all this, I guess, information we don't logically know about. But when I'm doing chart readings, I can't dispute the fact that everybody resonates so much. And nearly with everything. And I'm not going to say everything I say, but nearly everything. And all I'm doing is reading the energy on a chart and putting that together. And so there has to be something behind that.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Like you said, the energy above, and that's the first breath you take that energy in. Like, how magical. And every time I feel as if, I don't know about you, but when I do open up charts, I just feel like it's a blessing for me to be able to view someone's chart. And I always thank it and I say, thank you so much for allowing me into your energy, because it's not just a chart. They are actually allowing me to go into their energy, and they're allowing me to feel and allowing me to explore into it. It's like I'm going into the depths of their soul. Like, come on, let's be serious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it is intense.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just, it's magical and it's beautiful, and I know I keep saying that, but you know, and I'm also so thankful when individuals allow me to see their chart and then allow me to be in their energy and to be able to interpret that for them and give them some type of answers of where their soul is going, what their lessons are, like you said. But even going back to like the health journey, there's so much you can see in a natal chart, astrology wise. Yes, when you see the natal chart, you can see like the personality and all these things, but there's so much health wise you can see too, right?
So much. It's like actually insane, to the point that in my chart, and I'm going to share a little bit about this, in my chart there was, with my health journey, there was a lot of confusion. It didn't make sense. There wasn't a diagnosis. It wasn't clear for like a number of years. Didn't know the root cause, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I'd been seeking and, you know, doing a whole lot of things to find out. But doing through medical astrology, I could see that I had Neptune in one of the houses. And when you've got Neptune in either your first or your sixth house, you don't really get a clear diagnosis. And as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh, okay, that's what's playing here. I have to actually go through a journey to then get the outcome. It's not as easy as like finding it out and then doing something about it. And so just being able to find out things like that blew my mind. And I already knew astrology, but I didn't know the medical or the health side of astrology. And I was like, how does all this know where my weak spots are? You know, where when I used to be a runner and I'd get sciatica, why does my rising show that? Like it was all these questions of why and how, and then it's like step back and go, okay, I'll just trust it. These literally is my health profile on a page. Like how does that even happen?
Yeah, no, 100%. You're so right.
Yeah.
Little Neptune, sneaky little thing that just comes up and just distorts everything.
Exactly.
It's like, I am here, but I am not, and you will not know.
Yeah, exactly. So funny.
So tell me a little bit, because most people that are listening, I don't know, I'm assuming here, most of them know their sun sign, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Some may know their rising and their moon.
Yeah.
But with just knowing their sun sign, would they be able to know a little bit about their health, or would they need to know a bit more of the rising, the moon, other aspects, the houses? Like, yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
You can go as far as you want to go, but if we just stick with the sun, that generally you can look at the sign that your sun's in, and there's a thing called the Zodiac man, and that has all the areas of your body and which sign that represents, or you know, which sign it's related to. And generally the sun is more about vitality. It's where you've actually got strength. It's where you've got vitality, where you are stronger in most cases, depending on what else is happening in the chart where it's located, of course. But generally speaking, we could say that's your vitality. Although what the sun does, as you can imagine, it shines really bright. It can be overdone. So there's still areas where you take your strength in your sun and you overdo it, and that can create some of those health ailments. Yeah, I mean, we can go through it. We can go through the signs and, you know, the Zodiac man that they call it, or you can Google it. It's really cool to see just from that piece of information where you may be having certain things pop up for you because you're overdoing it, or you're not in alignment with your sun. You're not actually shining the way that you're meant to be shining. You're not actually stepping into your expression. So yeah, can come up that way.
I'm just trying to get my chart up. Not my chart, my medical astrology thing. Shall we go through it just quickly? Like just kind of like skim through it so the audience can get a bit of a feel and be like, oh, is this what it means for me? And like, so they can kind of reflect for themselves. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, cool. Shall we just maybe go spend a minute on each one or something and just give like the
just the high level?
Yeah, just the high level so we can kind of go through it.
Yeah,
what do you reckon?
Awesome.
Let's start off with
good.
beautiful Aries.
Yeah.
Aries, let's go.
So Aries all about the head, right? And let's do this together. All about the head, but also adrenals. Yeah?
Yep.
And it's about stress and adrenals, but you know, people with Aries signs sometimes have scars on their face, or have had, you know, a fall and they've hit their head, or they have headaches, or things like that can come up for Aries.
Many accidents, especially to the head, especially when they're younger, right? The Aries. It's those little kids that are just like falling on their head and going into emergencies because they got scars on their head. And I bet you now listening all of these Aries are like, oh my gosh, that's me. I feel seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And remembering you might have an Aries rising, which would be even more the accidents and the ailments that come up. But the sun, definitely is representative. The other thing with Aries, if you think about it, just taking a step back, it's like, how do I remember all this stuff? Aries is a fire sign. And all the signs have a different element, and we can touch on this, and you'll be doing that in your beautiful medical astrology podcast as well, where people will actually hear more about it. But basically what makes me think with Aries, it's kind of like the fire rises to the head. So that kind of inflammation, that heat kind of rises up in the body. So that's a good way of thinking about it as well.
You literally see them sometimes, if they've got strong Aries placements, walking around with a red head. Like
Yes.
literally.
Yes, 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 yes.
It's those individuals that just red.
Yeah, exactly. And those individuals that if they're feeling emotional about something, they'll go to anger. It's like, it's the redness, it's that fieriness.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. All right, that was a
Cool.
little bit about Aries. Let's move on to the beautiful Taurus.
Taurus, 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 all about throat. So again, this is literally going in order, and you'll notice this, but it's all about the throat, the thyroid, and the five senses, essentially, for Taurus. And so the amount of people who, I guess, come up with some thyroid elements would be important to look at, well, what's going on with Taurus in your chart, and how can you balance that out? Where is it located in the chart?
Yeah, 100%. It's all about that neck area, the thyroid, and they are usually like, you know those rugby players that have those big necks?
Yes.
That's usually a Taurus, right?
Yes,
They're like
yes,
the perfect rugby players that are just like, let's go. And they've got
yes.
this thick neck and they just want to go and they're sturdy because they're an earth sign. They get in, they're just sturdy and strong.
Yes, absolutely solid. Yeah.
Yeah, solid. That was the word. Yeah, 100%. And like you said, also the five senses. So it's kind of like maybe potentially they can hear things better, they can smell things better, they can see things better, they can taste things better, touch things. They can definitely taste things better.
I like the food.
They do too, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's mainly like you said, the thyroid. When we look at Taurus, we're looking at the thyroid.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And also the neck, actually, in thinking about
Yeah.
that, it's also the back of the neck and the structure of the neck, like that can also be impacted.
Yeah, nice, awesome. What's the next one? What are we doing next?
Gemini. So Gemini's all about the lungs, actually, interestingly, and the arms and the wrists, the hands, but also it's a communication sign. So it's how our nerves communicate with each other. So it does have to do with our nervous system. And if our brain's overactive with Gemini, then our nervous system can be out of balance. And that's something where the strength of being really logical and being able to think fast, act fast, do fast, move fast is literally sometimes an impact on the nervous system. So that's something to be aware of for Geminis.
Yeah, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. I know we're talking about all these things and it might not make sense, but we will kind of try and simplify it as much as we can. But yeah, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And like you said, the nervous system, like when I think about Gemini, I just think like nervous system. Like I just want to support their nervous system. I just want to give them a hug. I just want to tell them it's okay. I just want to get them to take a deep breath in via their lungs, right?
Yes. Yes, breathing.
But the
so
Geminis
important.
don't do that, do they?
No, they want to talk. They want to kind of get their expression outwardly. Yeah, it's so important. And interestingly, looking back through my life, I've got some placements in Gemini that are to do with health. And looking back on my life and when they were in I guess, a more tense relationship with what was happening, transiting in the sky at the time, that was super interesting to see. That's when, anxiety symptoms can come out and things where your nervous system is overactivated and that you're constantly in that fight or flight zone. Especially if you've got Aries and Gemini, then those things is to be aware of, and to know that you need to, although you're excitable, although you want to take a lot of action and do a lot of things and be really social, you need downtime as well to just come back into that parasympathetic nervous system is important.
100%, 100%. The other thing is, I know we're staying on Gemini for a bit, is the allergy triad, which is the asthma,
Yes.
eczema, and allergies. This is like, they're known for that, right?
Yes.
It's the asthma, eczema, and allergies. Those are the three things that come up with Geminis. They're prone to those things.
Yes. Yeah. Love that. Love that. So we talk about Cancer?
Let's go and talk to
Cancer.
Cancer. Oh, Cancer.
Cancer.
Love the Cancers. Not that I don't like any other star sign.
Not giving
You
any
just kind of
hints
want
there.
to. You just want to cuddle them.
You do. You do. Cancer's anything round and soft. Like, even your response then it's like, oh, it's like a round and soft. So thinking about things in the body that are round and soft. So we're talking about breast, stomach, uterus, gallbladder. Yeah, anything round. It's a very circular energy, a very circular motion of energy, and things can keep going around and around in somebody with Cancer placements.
Yeah. And they're more prone to, like you mentioned, fluid retention because they're a water sign, and they can get a lot of fluid retention. They can have a lot of, if they're female, they can have female born. They can have female issues like endometriosis, uterus problems, breast issues, stomach problems. Yeah, and the other thing that cancers are known for, and this is so interesting, they're known for secret eating, right? So hiding food. I don't know why you're laughing, Brylie.
Depends on the placement in the chart too.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But you know, cancers are known for, just being emotional, and then this is just over analyzing. Not over analyzing.
Generalizing?
Generalizing.
Yes.
It's kind of like generalizing. So it's not 100%. Whoever's listening might be like, oh my God, I'm prone to this. I don't have that. No. This is just generalizing. We have to look at your whole chart to kind of figure out what's going on. But essentially, they can have emotional states of worry and anxiety, which can lead to eating excessively or eating their issues away.
Yes, definitely.
And secret eating. Hiding those chocolate and lollies in the wardrobe.
Secret eating. You don't know anything about that.
No, I don't know anyone. I don't know anything about secret eating or anything like that. Nah. That is a secret. Nah.
I said secret.
Anyway, let's move to Leo. Your favourite.
Leo, my favourite. So Leo's all about the heart, and it's like this middle section of the body. And so also the back of the thoracic spine, the back of the spine, what kind of holds you in that, I guess, that bold posture, right? Like that Leos can have sometimes, or if they're impacted, they have a less bold posture where they're kind of hiding their heart. And so very much about cardiac health for Leos. And so they are the strongest sign. They are the most vital sign, again, depending on placements and what else is happening.
But can I interrupt? They're only vital if they express, if they're fully in their creativity, and if their heart is open, and if they've actually expressed their full expression. That's when they're the most vital sign. Because essentially they are the most vital sign. But if they're not in line with their heart, which is ruled by Leo, then they may not be the most vital sign.
Yes, exactly. Learn a lot from your last podcast too on that. That was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you. And yeah, they're prone to like panic attacks, heart issues, heart palpitations. And the other thing is also, if there's a lot of Leo placements, is burnout.
Yes.
Absolute burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And it makes me think of in Chinese medicine, because it also rules the spleen. And often when burnout occurs, the spleen's being kind of like beaten up by the liver, right? Like it's just like wanting to, it's not having time to kind of rest and relax and come back out of that tenseness that it can be in. And so the fact that Leo rules the spleen, it shows that even though it's really vital, there is that risk there that it's actually soft and sensitive at the same time, right?
100%. They wear their heart on their sleeve.
Yeah.
They're like, here I go. Oh my gosh, I'm going to talk about Leos, right? So everyone's like, oh, Leo has a big ego, they're this and that, but they're like probably the softest sign. Like they're the softest, because they might have an ego and things like that, but that's maybe because their heart is closed, because they're not fully expressing. But if they are expressing and you have the pleasure of being around a Leo who has their heart open, my gosh, these individuals are filled with love, and all they want to do is share their love and their heart with you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Let's jump to Virgo.
Yeah, Virgo, the season we're in now.
The season we're in now, where we're analysing everything. Even just us starting this podcast, we were like analysing everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, can Virgo season end? I am joking. I love my Virgos.
Makes us hyper aware of everything.
It does.
Does.
I love the analytical skills that Virgos have. I mean, any job that I want done with analysing or just detail, get a Virgo to do it. They will smash it out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's interesting because, like, yeah, they rule the intestines. And so I'm just trying to, like, click that with the detail of like they're really processing things and editing things and removing things of what they don't want. So the intestine's ruled by Virgo and the abdomen in particular. And so you can see as we're talking through the signs, we're talking in order and we're going down the body. Virgo
Yeah, I
wanted me
love
to
that
say
you mentioned that.
The
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that you mentioned that. We start off the head, Aries, and then we're moving down. As you can see, we're a Virgo, which is about the intestine level.
Yeah, exactly. The pancreas, the abdomen, the intestines, moving things through.
Yeah.
Or not if they're restricting.
100%. And the thing is with Virgo is they are all, like, they can be, how do I put this? They can have thoughts about their health, which may not be the healthiest for them. So they might hyperfixate on their issues, on their health issues.
Yes.
So for example, let's say there's a stomach ache and it's like the Virgo will hyperfixate on a stomach ache and analyze what that is. And look, to some degree, that's absolutely amazing. I love the self-awareness, but to some degree, that could actually be harmful.
Yeah, 100% is that overanalyzing of it, which actually makes them incredible healers. And that's why we associate Virgo with the healer, because they can kind of sense, even though they prefer to be logical than use their intuition, they have an ability to kind of go, okay, this is happening as somebody is literally walking towards them or having a conversation with them and they're like, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z to fix that, which is incredible.
Literally.
Incredible.
It's the whole gut-mind axis when I think about Virgo.
Yes.
It's the whole gut-mind axis. If we have anxiety, our gut is not well. If our gut's not well, we may get anxiety.
Yes.
It's the whole axis of the gut-brain axis.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it.
All right, let's jump into Libra.
Libra.
Cute little Libra. Clearly, I've got favorites. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you do.
I am not allowed to have favorites. No.
Yes. So Libra, like the lower back, the kidneys, again, we're going down the body. But it's also does have to do with hormones and the ovaries and, probably more of that feminine, like again, that female born hormonal balance that's needed.
Yeah, and it's the two. When you think about Libra, it's all about balancing.
It is.
So it's the kidneys, right? The kidneys is all about balancing. The ovaries is all about balancing. The testes is balancing, even though testes isn't ruled by Libra. But yeah, so and what can happen is kidney issues, urinary infections, fluid retention again, skin issues, because as we know, Libra is all about beauty, which is so interesting, isn't it? Ruled by our beautiful Venus.
Yeah.
And because when we have kidney issues or fluid retention, things like that, skin issues can come up.
Yes.
And like you said, also the lower back pain can happen with Libras. They're more prone to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And because Libra has a real need for aesthetics and need for beauty in their life, when skin issues do occur, that can be really emotionally confronting for a Libra. And understanding that for somebody else, it may not be as much, but understanding your sign, understanding that this may be something you're just more sensitive to, and that's okay. Like that comes back to that self-acceptance.
Yeah, I love how you put that. I always, when I think about a Libra, I always think they're just so beautiful. If it's a man, female, non-gender, whatever you want to call it, is like they just look after themselves, and they're just so beautiful, and they're so free flowing. I mean, it's an air sign, right? So looking after themselves is a big thing, and it can cause a lot of anxiety, like you said, if the skin isn't well or there's fluid retention, and so forth.
Absolutely. And balance too, like literally talking about vestibular system earlier, the balance of the body comes under Libra as well, and being able to see when things have impacted that balance and how do you then get back into balance. A lot of time people with Libra placements are looking outward from themselves and they're wanting to balance everybody around them, and they're not looking at themselves, that they actually need to just balance internally. So if you're a Libra, think about doing that rather than trying to balance everybody else out, because it comes from a beautiful heart and a beautiful wanting for everyone to feel that, life is great, but you're sacrificing yourself often to do that.
100%. It's like, if you want better skin, look after yourself, not someone else. No.
Yeah, totally. I love that. That's the catchphrase. If you want better skin, look after yourself, not someone else.
Literally.
Love it.
It's not someone
Awesome.
else.
Yeah.
Let's go to Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Saucy Scorpio. It's like deep. I just felt like my voice just went deep. Really deep. Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Like Scorpio. Pluto.
Yeah. So all talking about deep, it's all the elimination process in the body, which, you know, Scorpio wants to keep private. They don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it just for a second. So it's how things
Sorry,
actually
Scorpio's got to talk about your
move.
private parts.
We do.
We are.
We are, exactly. So the elimination systems, and we'll leave it at that, maybe. But, you know,
I feel like that's all he wants us to talk about. I feel like they're being intrigued. Like, it's kind of like, oh, it's my privacy. Don't go there. And it's like, we want to talk about it, Scorpio.
exactly. But isn't this where, and you need to answer this for me, DNA and genes come in Scorpio, yeah?
100%. Yes, DNA comes
Yeah.
in here. Yes,
Yeah.
it's the heritage, the generational stuff, the DNA, the
Yeah.
coding, genetics, reproduction, the species, and a lot of stuff happening there. A lot.
Yeah, all the epigenetic stuff coming out in
Yeah,
Scorpio. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably a really good thing to look into your genes if you're having some health concerns for Scorpios.
Yeah, where is Scorpio? Where's your Pluto? Because there might be genetic things going on there with that. Ooh.
Yeah, I know someone who can help with that. Mihaela.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so we've the Scorpio. It's
Yeah.
interesting because it's also like infections, right? And you know, also like viruses and things going on, because Scorpios are so magnetic
Yeah.
that they attract these viruses, they attract these infections.
Yeah, once
and
they're
diseases
in,
and
it's
so
hard
forth.
to move them
Yeah.
out. Yeah, that's where the elimination processes are important, like the detoxing and the
Yes,
saunas and the
yes.
things.
100%.
Scorpio actually reminds me of a sauna, actually, when I think about it, because Scorpio is a water sign and a water element, but it's kind of like, it's got this real power that fire has. Like, it's got this fiery element to the water sign. And so it is
It
kind of like a
does.
sauna. It's kind of like that energy of
But no one wants to
wet and
stay in that room
warm.
for too long, right? No.
You got to go deep. You got to go deep if you do.
They will take you deep.
Deep.
Yeah, and the other key thing is make sure the Scorpios eliminate every single day. And you know what the funny thing is? If you deal for Scorpio and you ask them, do you go to the bathroom every day and eliminate? They'll be like, that's my secret business. I will not tell you. They're most likely constipated. They're probably constipated.
Yeah. Okay, Scorpios, you're probably constipated. Come on. Talk to your naturopath about it.
All right, let's move to Sagittarius. Fun,
Sagittarius.
joyful, adventurous
Yes.
Saggy.
All about the hips and the thighs and the butt and like the sciatica. That
Sounds
I
like
talked
an
about
R&B
earlier.
song. Literally, I thought you were rapping an R&B song. Thighs, hips, bum.
Oh, funny. So all that area, but it's all about coordination of movement as well with Sagittarius. Sagittarius needs to move, it wants to move, which then can be difficult if those areas you've got ailments within. Then how do you still feel like you're releasing energy? Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was just going to say, I think my mum has a Sagittarius moon. We don't have her birth time. And with some health stuff that's come up, she hasn't been able to exercise it out. And so, you know, if you can't get your emotions, moon represents emotions, out through movement, it can really get you fiery and hot under the collar and be like, I'm so frustrated because I can't move. So yeah, Saggies need to move. It's all about movement.
100%. Yeah, movement. Yeah, like you said, sciatica. But it can be like bites, falls, accidents also with in line with Aries also. Hip, pelvic issues. There's a lot of individuals with pelvic issues. And like the key one is sciatica, right? Sciatica, like all those individuals get sciatica. It's like, oh, how many Sag placements do you have? Where's your Sagittarius at?
Yeah.
What is happening there? The other thing is also, because it's also a fire sign, and it also rules the autonomic nervous system, is exhaustion.
Yes.
Extreme exhaustion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Overdoing it. They kind of say yes to everything and then they can overdo
Because
it.
they're so adventurous. They're like, I don't want to miss out. I feel like,
Yeah.
okay, if we had like a star sign that was FOMO, it would be Sagittarius.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Definitely.
Oh
definitely,
no, I cannot
definitely.
miss out on that adventure.
Exactly.
I don't care about my sciatica pain. I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. It's also the liver too. I had an incredible story about a friend of mine who had a liver transplant on an eclipse, on a Sagittarius eclipse, and they would have similar
Wow.
placements to me with the nodes of, and I'm not going to go into what they are, but a placement within the chart that is fate and destiny was in their chart activated at that time. And that blew my mind because I just started my journey with astrology and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. On that note, if you are ever going to, for the audience listening, if you're ever going to have like starting something like getting married or starting a business or like having big events, talk to Brylie. Like she will literally look at what is happening in your natal chart, what's happening on the transit, and see like what energy will benefit it, what challenges may come along. Like it's just amazing. Like I know we were talking about only natal charts, but I had to put in the transits because that's what happens during the time of an event. Like for example, if someone's having an operation tomorrow, it's like we look at the natal chart and then we put the transit around it and we go, ooh, what does this kind of look like? What energies are bouncing off the natal chart to give you some type of growth or benefit, or what to look out for, what may happen? It's just mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, absolutely. I did help a friend choose a wedding date. I was just like, they gave me three.
That.
They gave me three, and I was like, okay. I found it like, oh, I hope I give you the one that I'm thinking, but also they were aligned. You know, hopefully it was a good one.
Are they still together?
That date. So far, so good.
Oh, but I do want to know, what did you look for? Like, if you can name one thing, what was like one thing that you kind of looked for? I know we're kind of on Capricorn, but just bear with us, Capricorn. Be patient. You're all right.
Yeah, I know. No, Capricorn's like, no, come on, time. Let's do this. Let's do this. What I looked at particularly was whether there was any like pressure transit, so what we call squares in the chart to their relationship house, and where the moon was. So was the moon in like a loving area where emotions will be like, what would it feel like? So I was able to give them, rather than say this is just the date, this is what this day will feel like, this is what that day will feel like, this is what this day will feel like, and then obviously the net energy of the day as well. But yeah, I made sure that there weren't any kind of like negative, I guess not negative, but more pressurized aspects in the chart. That's what we call them.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I love that. I love weddings. I love love. Anyway, let's go to Capricorn. To seriousness. We're serious now, all right?
Okay, serious. Capricorn.
Come on. Are Capricorns really serious? Let's get to the bottom of this.
I don't know. Are they, Mihaela? I don't know.
I don't know. Would you call me serious? No.
I don't think so. No. I actually have had many friends who are Capricorns, and I haven't come across one that is overly serious. Like, definitely can focus, absolutely, and is able to get a ridiculous amount done in a small amount of time because they are focused and they know they've already got the system or the structure set up, and so then they can just get to it. But I don't know about serious thing. I think there's quite a few signs that are misunderstood, and that is one of the things that I love. Mind you, we're still not getting into Capricorn. We're really annoying.
No, we're just, it's like, you've got to wait. You just have to wait, Capricorn. I love this. I love it.
One of my favorite things to do is if somebody comes up and says, you know, oh, you're an astrologer. Oh, my son's in, you know, Gemini, and I don't resonate with that, or I don't like that, or whatever it is. I love giving them a different perspective of their signs, so they take that more positive viewpoint, the highest octave of that sign, and so then they can walk away with that and be like, oh yeah, that is me, and that's cool. That's really cool. Anyway, yeah. Capricorn.
Wait. Before that, just hold on. Don't you love when people come up to you and they're like, what's my star sign?
Oh, like, can you I hate it. Sign? You love it.
I can never guess the sun. Oh, okay.
You can. You're good. Now all your listeners are going to be ringing you up and saying, oh, I'm DMing you. Guess mine.
Look, I do like guessing it, but the sun sign is harder to guess,
it is.
Right?
It is.
The rising is so much easier because that's what they're putting in front of us. That's what they're presenting as. That's what their physical body says. I mean, by looking at someone's physical body, you can kind of see if they're a fire, earth, water, or air. You can most likely guess what they are. And I love that because it's like you and I do little challenges. We'll be like, air sign, yeah, air sign.
Yeah, I love it.
Now our secret is out.
I hate guessing sun signs like that, like you said, because it is something you're growing into and evolving into. And you're right, we put out our rising sign. We might never see the moon sign until we're close to somebody, like super close to somebody, but the sun, we still see.
That's so true. That's so interesting. That's so true. The moon, that's kind of
It's
like...
more private.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're really good friends or in a partnership or you're really good colleagues. That's when you see those emotions, and that's when you see the moon come out
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
individuals.
Definitely. But they do say that your rising is your appearance. So not just the elements we were talking about, but your rising sign is your appearance. And I don't know, I'm testing that. I'm doing my own testing on that. I'm not sure.
You're doing your own little testing. Let us know how your research goes.
Yeah, I will. I haven't found it to be... Yeah, I haven't found it to be the case yet. I think I've seen more of the sun signs being able to see the appearance of. But again, I hate guessing. I just hate guessing because people are so layered.
I love
There's
it.
so much behind them. And I guess recognizing that their chart is just full of different energies and how they give and take energy. And yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Capricorn, we're on to you now. Let's go, Capricorn.
Capricorn.
So
Capricorn, all about skin. Yes. Bones.
We're like, bones. You're getting the double echo.
You go. You go,
All right,
Capricorn.
so we've got... All right, I'll talk about Capricorn.
Yes.
So we've got the skin, the bones, skeletal, because it's like it holds everything together. It's the foundations. Capricorns are known for foundations. They're known to be practical, to build things. They're an earth sign. So we're talking about the skeleton, our bones, right? The other thing is also ligaments, cartilage, tendons that make up our beautiful, beautiful body. And then the other thing is hair, which is interesting, nails and teeth. We've also got the gallbladder in Capricorn also, which is interesting. So with, like we're saying with Libra, but this had the skin, so does Capricorn. Capricorn's got skin diseases. It's got arthritis. It's got eczema also. But the one thing about Capricorns, and this is the part that I love this about Capricorns, but it's also really frustrating, is when you think about a Capricorn, it's a goat, right? What does a goat do? A goat rises. It goes up to the mountain and then it has to go down, right? That part a Capricorn does not like. So then what happens is they get depressed. So depression is a huge thing for a Capricorn because they always want to be on the rise and they want to achieve and they want to do the right thing and get to the goal that they have. And then once they got to the goal, they know they need to rest and go down, but they don't like that. And that's where the depression really kicks in.
Yeah, absolutely. And one way that you can look at those down parts as an opportunity, I guess, in astrology only, is like when we talk about astrology, Capricorns are actually pretty intuitive. And not many people know this about the sign because you're right. A lot of people think the mountain goat and you're going up the mountain and it is very sturdy. But there's this, the old mythology of Capricorn was a sea goat. And the sea goat is able to go up the mountain, but also able to dive into the sea. And so that's where the intuitiveness comes in with Capricorn. And I just think that's so fascinating because some of those pauses are to enable you to go within and to, really listen to yourself rather than continue to achieve and succeed and have the external, I guess, impacts of your sign more on show.
I feel seen.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And you know what's interesting about Capricorns? It's ruled by Saturn. And the interesting thing is, I'm going to go a bit off topic now, is Saturn return and teeth issues, right? Let's talk about that. Or Saturn being in I think it's your first house, right? Or the sixth house.
Yeah,
it's going to be teeth. Get your teeth checked out just before he goes into your sixth house or before he goes into your first house. So when you have your Saturn return, which is when you're roughly about 30 and 60, most people get when you think about your parents or people that or anyone that's listening, just before you hit 60, most people have teeth issues. They need to get their teeth taken out. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's definitely about huge focus on the teeth. So this is the way that if you learn the astrology, you can actually start to plan in advance. And it's okay, get my teeth checked when we're in the fifth house and that's fun and easy. And then maybe I don't need to worry when Saturn moves into the sixth house.
Yeah, and I need to look at my chart. No.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so
we need to
interesting.
remember that.
Yeah, and and Capricorn's known for knees.
Yes. Knees,
Prone to
yes.
knee issues. They
Yes.
fall on their knees, might have knee issues, knee reconstructions, knee things. And that's also the same thing as Saturn. If Saturn return happens when you're 30, 60, knee reconstructions. I would love to get records from hospitals and see what the average age is, or what the most common age is when people get their knee reconstruction. It would be
Yeah, what's
crazy
the
if it's
data
like
behind
30
it?
and 60, right?
That'd be
Just be
cool.
like, mind blowing. I mean, there's so many other aspects to it. It's not just age, but yeah, it would just
Yeah.
be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
All right, shall we go to Aquarius or?
Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius.
I
That's
know, beautiful
all.
Aquarius. Let's just sing along in a circle together. Let's be together, but not be together.
Yeah, exactly. I like people,
want to
but I
be
don't like people.
Yeah, literally. I love community, but leave me alone.
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much. The thing with Aquarius that just stands out for me, it is the electrical system. So like Mercury that manages the nervous system, Mercury manages the communication between the two. Sorry, not Mercury, Gemini manages the communication between the two. And the whole system as a whole, though, is Aquarius. So it's literally the electrics in our body is the way that you could look at that. Absolutely. Yeah. So the nervous
just think about
system
like
operation.
sparks, like just sparks.
Yes. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
spark things.
And it's mitochondria too, yeah? And then as we're going down the body, it relates to the lower legs and the ankles. And so there can be, some kind of, people who just always kind of roll their ankles. It's really important to look at, what's happening in Aquarius or at an Aquarius degree.
Yeah, or if you're playing any sports and you have an Aquarius transit happening, it's like, ooh, okay, watch out for those ankles. Like, strap them up.
Yeah,
them up.
exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing is like varicose veins,
Yes.
nervous system anxiety, worry. I know we've said nervous system anxiety, worry for a few of them, but I feel like this is a different type of nervous anxiety. I feel like as I talk about it, it's just like this shakiness,
Yes.
this like uneasiness, and it's like,
Yes.
it's just inside the body, this little tremor, and like people will be able to relate to it, and they're like, yeah, I know what that tremor's like. That might be Aquarius.
Yeah, because it kind of is this unstable, like it's this unstable shakiness. Like you're so right. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. All right, cool. Shall we move to Pisces?
Pisces. Beautiful
Pisces.
All about.
Look at us.
Look, it's all about
Let's
the
just
immune
be-
system, yeah? Hey, let's
Be
just
in nature, and let's just be one together. I feel like we should have put I feel like we didn't give everyone else their little words.
I
We've been giving them at the
know.
end. So I
Yeah.
apologize for all the previous ones that we haven't given you a cute little, introduction. I apologize, but yes, Pisces. Pisces
We were
puts it all
serious
together.
and then we moved into the later end. We're like,
Yeah.
coming closer to Pisces, being a little bit
Yeah.
more exploring, expressive. So immune system for Pisces. Absolutely. So talk about viruses. I know we talked about that with Scorpio, with that magnetic kind of attraction. Pisces is more of a sensitivity and a lack of boundaries, really, where things can just come through and flow through Pisces and flow out. And so viruses and things like that are really like prone. People are with Pisces are prone to feeling unwell with that because their constitution is more sensitive. And
It's the weakest one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Weakest constitution. Doesn't mean 100% always is the weakest. It just is overall weaker than others.
Yeah. So Pisces need internal time. They need downtime, like those things. They need rest. So the things that, we need to do to look after our body in a way that means we're coming back within our own energy. That's what Pisces needs to help with that. But they also rules the feet. And I find that really interesting that we talk about, like, they're the foundations, right? And they connect us with the earth, and then messages
Yes.
and vibration can come up through the earth and into our body. And like, I just find that a really interesting, I guess, parallel to Pisces that really I'd associate with kind of the higher chakras and above the head
Yes,
energy.
that's so true.
Yeah. And so there is this, below and like connecting up to the ether. So it's like both ways, and being a real channel, like a fluid channel between, which means that things can kind of come in that you don't want them to come in. Autoimmune things, like it's just kind of this confusion of like understanding where the body actually, what limits the body has. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, feet is the biggest one, like foot fungus, feet, toe issues. Some people born with less toes, more toes. Will be interesting to see where Pisces is. Autoimmune because it's got no borders. And it's kind of like, I feel as if also Pisces has a bit of a scattered energy, or I don't know if you want to call it scattered or free flowing, or just kind of like lack of tone also with like soft tissue. And it's just so freeing, and it's like I don't want to be in this body. I just want to be away from this body and be. So it's kind of like health wise, that's kind of what happens too. It's like daydreaming, and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, we could go into like how to. My mind's just going everywhere. My mind's like, oh my gosh, we could do this and that, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this cat energy of a Pisces. Oh no, I'm joking. I love it. I love it. So yeah, so what can happen with that is also they can get weight gain because it's also a water sign, and
It's
water
fluid
signs are more
again.
likely to hold the fluid and hold the extra weight on them. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But Pisces is definitely the sign that needs to find time for internal introspection, meditation, things like that, connecting with something higher. Like they just need to be able to express in a way that, yeah, makes them comfortable, I guess, in this world.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just spoken about. We just went through them all, and we're kind of just spoken about what they rule, kind of, and like what they're most likely to be prone to. We
Yes.
could talk about like so many other things, and I know we could blab on for hours. And the thing is like, I hope the audience kind of was able to be like, all right, well, I'm this, and therefore I'm maybe more prone to that, and I need to look into this a little bit more. But there's so many things that you can do to balance it. It doesn't mean you're stuck with it. You're never stuck. And this is not what Brylie and I are trying to be like. It's like because you have this, you have more Aquarius, you're stuck now, and your nervous system is, scattered as and shaky. No, that's not the case. It just kind of, it's to allow you to be more gentle on yourself, to allow you to understand yourself. And that's what this podcast is all about today, is to kind of be like, okay, I know my placements, I know kind of what's happening, and therefore I am more gentle on myself, and therefore I am more kinder to myself, and I understand my health journey. Isn't that right, Brylie?
Yeah, absolutely. And like that compassion that we're talking about Pisces. Pisces is compassion, having compassion for yourself of where you're at and how you can support your health in a certain way. Like how can you support your health to be even more vital and greater in those areas? So, for Pisces, it might be, yeah, you need to focus on your immune-based herbs, and you need to make sure that you're like really getting in your zincs and your vitamin C's and your things, so that you're really giving yourself enough strength for the things that might come up for you. But you're definitely not stuck in it, and you can have we talked about this, different placements have a very different impact on the chart. One thing that I loved about learning it and looking at my chart in particular was the understanding that this energy, it's not permanent. Like it does come and go, and you're not, like you said, you're not stuck with something. And like when I was in the chronic part of the dis-ease in my body, I was like, wow, that's been like what, 3 years that I've been really stuck. And that felt like I couldn't even do another day. Like I was just like, oh, I can't even like move through that. And then I learned medical astrology, and I was like, oh, actually that was that transit, and actually that shifts here. And actually then I started noticing, actually I do have a little bit more energy on those days when, or those months where I wasn't in a Neptune square or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, now I can actually step back and see that this isn't forever, and there's things that I can do to support myself to be the most vital. And that's what we all want, right? Oh, I've lost your sound. There
When
you are.
you understand that and know that, you're just so much more gentle on yourself. But you said a key thing that I kind of want to put in this episode for the audience is vital days and so-called maybe depleting days.
Yeah.
This blew my mind. Okay, can we talk a little bit about
Go
health
for it.
just before your birthday, and then can we talk about a little bit about health like your half birthday? Can we talk about that? Are you able to give us a bit more
Yeah.
information on that? I want you
Yes.
to go into this because it's going to blow the audience mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So about the month before your birthday. So if you count back a month before, not necessarily the season, you can take it as the season before. So if you're a Leo, Cancer comes before Leo, and therefore it's the season of Cancer. But try and think of just the month before your birthday. That is your lowest vitality, I guess, time of your chart. And it's the time when you are meant to be a little bit more internal and introspective. And it's so interesting because we're looking forward to our birthdays. We're planning things, you know. It actually helps to know this information because it's like, oh, this energy, the energy a month before your birthday, it's not as familiar to you. You're not as used to it. And so therefore it takes a little bit more, I guess, energy in your body to be in. And therefore maybe plan your birthday celebrations after your birthday.
It's interesting you say that because in my culture and many other cultures, it's kind of like seen as like such a bad thing to celebrate your birthday before your actual birthday. Like it's like a no-go. You do not celebrate your birthday before your actual birthday. And it's interesting that you say that because the energy's not there. How can you celebrate something that the energy is not even there yet or hasn't even arrived yet? So I always say celebrate your birthday on your birthday or after your birthday because you will be in that energy.
I love that. I love that. And the other thing is sometimes on your actual birthday, you don't feel like celebrating. And this is because your step number or your actual soul, what we call a solar return, when it feels like your birthday, could have been the day before, not the day after, or it could be the day after. And so it's kind of like when the actual energy returns to the point where the sun returns to the exact point when you were born, that's when you feel most vital. But yeah, before that or even the day after might not feel as good. So
yeah, like I know for me, I'm a mess before my birthday. Like, you know, and it's funny because a lot of people actually say, oh, it's because I'm turning this old and they get depressed. And it's like, no, it's just the energy. It's got not to, maybe for some individuals got to do with how they're turning, but it's the energy that's been put on us from above to not be so vital. So of course we're going to be down about it. But then your birthday happens and you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. I didn't think this age was going to be that bad.
Exactly, yeah. And so again, it comes back to, you know, that this too shall pass. This energy will pass. Like you're not, if you can actually, it gives you a level of surrendering to being like, I don't have expectations on myself that I'm going to be, you know, jumping up for joy the week before my birthday. Like, you know, I may, great. But I might not, and that's all good. And so not having the expectation, I think, really helps that we have to be a certain way. We have to be in a celebration mode. You know, it's our birthday this week. Like we should be having fun. We should be enjoying it. I think a lot of us give a lot of ourselves shoulds when we don't need to.
Yes. And I think like maybe birthday month should be like after. There you go. We can start a whole new thing. Yeah. Birthday month is after. So when your birthday starts and then the month after, that's when you celebrate it. Yeah. That's actually brilliant. I love that. I love that. I'm going to celebrate birthday month this year. Yeah, after.
I love it. And then also, as you said, you mentioned before, the half birthday. So basically,
yes, a half birthday. Dun, dun, dun.
Just take it 6 months before. You didn't enjoy your half birthday?
Dun, dun, dun. Isn't that when you're more likely to, like, you know, dun, dun, dun?
I haven't heard that part. I don't know. I thought it was around your birthday.
Well, I think it is maybe around your birthday, but also your half birthday.
Yeah.
Because your vitality is lower.
So
this is very depressing of us to talk about. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. Didn't realise we were going here. But yes. Your half birthday, it is that lower vitality. And isn't it interesting? Some people want to celebrate their half birthday, and maybe that is to give them a little bit of injection of energy because they're like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit. It's the opposite to what, again, your natural energy. In saying that, you could have things opposite your sun in your natal chart that gives you a lot of energy and that counteracts that. So this is always,
this is where it's so individualized. It's so individualized. Like it's kind of like sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to talk about astrology because it's not individualized enough. Like I don't even want to talk about a certain aspect or certain thing because it's like it's going to be different for you.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But you can take some of those, you know, overarching things, or you just plan in advance and you go, okay, this isn't going to be as vital as the other days. So, you can put that in my calendar.
And one other thing that I wanted to talk about is your rising.
Yes.
So if individuals know their rising signs, if you don't, contact Brylie. A little plug in there. If you do know your rising sign, they call it rising, ascending, does it call it anything else?
No, ascendant. rising.
Ascendant, rising, yeah. So if you know what your rising sign is, it can actually tell you what your vitality is.
Yes, that's so true. Depending on the sign, but also where then your sun's placed in comparison to the rising. Is that what you're referring to? Or just on the
Yeah,
sign?
yeah. Well, just the rising, it's kind of like if it's like what we said before, if you're a Leo rising,
Yes.
your vitality, your physical body is more like stronger, right? Whereas
Yes.
if you were a Pisces rising, you have a so-called weaker body vitality.
Yeah. So we'd say the water signs definitely have the weaker water, and air is the weaker vitality. And fire and earth is stronger vitality. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I love that you shared that. Yeah, I
Mm.
love that you shared that with us. And the thing is it doesn't mean just because you're a water or air sign rising that your body isn't good enough or it's not going to fight for you or be there for you. Of course it will, 100%, but you kind of need more rest. And it's
Yes.
those individuals, like when you go out, like I don't know about you, but I remember when we were in our 20s, even now, like last weekend, but anyway, you go out and you party hard and you have those friends that need like 5 6 days to recover,
Yeah.
and you've got those friends that are partying the next day, and you're
Yes.
like, what? And then I want to know what their rising sign is.
Yes, exactly, because we're so different. And should we explain what signs sit in the elements just quickly, just so people
Yeah,
can
go.
know?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just to wrap that up, because I would be like, I'd hate to not go like, am I fire or water? Am I low vitality? Am I high vitality? I don't know. So generally, your fire signs, high vitality, you've got Aries, you've got Leo and Sagittarius are your fire signs. And then your earth signs are, you've got Taurus, you've got, Virgo and Capricorn. Why am I phasing
Oh
out
no!
on Virgo?
Why
We're in
what happened to
Virgo.
Virgo? It's because
Virgo.
we're in Virgo season.
Capricorn, I love that, exactly. And then air signs, we've got Gemini, we've got Libra and Aquarius. And then water signs, we have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So that gives you a little indication. And one thing you were saying about that I did want to talk about today is it's important to notice how you kind of give energy and receive energy. And a lot of people look at their sun, moon, and rising, and you need birth time for your moon and rising to know around your vitality, but also to know, your different characteristics. What I personally love doing is looking at your Mars and Venus, and you don't really need your birth time, or you don't need your birth time for them. So you can use, different apps like CoStar, or you can go onto astro.com, which is a free service online, and actually find out what your Mars and Venus placements are. And depending on where your Mars is, that's how you give energy. It's how you expel energy, you give energy. Whereas your Venus is how you receive energy. And so when you think about that and what you were just talking about with going out, I think it's really fascinating, because it's like the people who recover really easily, it may be a fire, so a fire Mars and a fire Venus. So they give energy by being action, sociable, excitable, motivated, like out there doing things, and they receive energy back into themselves doing the same. So they're giving energy and receiving at the same time. This is like, the true extroverted people who get energy from being extroverted, yeah?
Yes. And that
Whereas,
makes you be so much more gentle on yourself if you understand that. And you're like, why am I like that? And it's like, just look at your astrology chart. Like,
exactly.
they'll tell
Whereas,
you. And it's
like
you
if
don't
you're,
have to change.
no, exactly. You don't have to change. Exactly. This is your energy. It's how energy runs through your body. And so, if you're a fire sign, Mars, so you put a lot of energy out there in the world and you take a lot of action, but then you're a water Venus and you need to receive nurture, loving, care, downtime, more introspective time to balance out the energies. So this kind of gives you a really nice picture by looking at your Mars and Venus, essentially. And then quickly, air signs would be either way. Air signs would be like socializing, communicating, learning, thinking would be the way you put energy out in the world if you're a Mars, or you're receiving it in by doing those things if your Venus is an air sign. And then Earth would be like producing and like, making sure that you're out in nature and, you actually give energy by doing work and like systemizing things and making it all make sense for people. But also as a Venus, you might need to receive the energy by going out in nature, grounding on the earth, things like that. So I really like the Mars Venus kind of way of looking at medical astrology and health, because it's how does the energy run through your body.
I love that you shared that with us. I mean, like, I think we need to do like another episode because, oh my gosh, like there's so much we can talk about. And like, you know, people are just going to be like, I want to know more. I want to know more about, like, what about me? It's so funny. I was going to say, what about me? Says the Leo. Like, what do I need to do? No, I'm joking. I know I'm picking on some star signs. I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, but it's kind of like, what about me? Like, what can I do lifestyle wise? What can I eat? What can I, do to be healthier? And I hope that this podcast gave a little bit of an insight to the audience to be like, you know, your health can be improved by looking at astrology, looking at your star signs, looking at your natal chart, looking at transits, what's happening, what can be happening, for the whole point of you to be gentle on yourself and love yourself and understand that there's no one else out there like you. You are so blessed that the stars and, you know, the planets were in the sky exactly how they were the time that you took your first breath. Like, the time that you took your first breath is so special, and it's who you are, and therefore we shouldn't be like, oh, I wish I was this sign, or I wish this changed. No. I am so grateful for exactly how my birth chart is, and it's ever changing. Even though it's ever changing, and it's so beautiful, and it's got such a story to tell. Like I do as a human, I have a story to tell. So does my chart. My chart has a story to tell, and most of it hasn't even panned out yet.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, that's super beautiful. I love how you explain that.
Yeah, thank you. Brylie, what else do you want to share with us before we kind of wrap up? Is there anything else that you want to share about with health and astrology? I know there's so much. It's
Oh my
such a
God.
stupid question for me to ask that.
I know. It is, you know, coming back to what you said, it is that level of acceptance. So I know for myself, and other people might be the same, I was like this personal developmental junkie. I wanted to know my strengths profile and my Myers-Briggs and all this stuff. Like, astrology is that on steroids. But also, like, it was the first thing that made me feel like super, super truly seen for who I am. And knowing I can keep diving into that, because it's not just the first little reading I got, or, you know, the first bit of information I learned. I can keep diving into the layers of myself through my chart. That is so powerful, because then you stop trying to be like, oh, I want to be like that person, or, you know, why am I like this in the workplace, or why can't I handle X, Y, and Z? Like, it's literally like, oh, my energy needs this before I do that. And, you know, or, you know, I've been out and now my energy needs to come back in. There's so many little bites of wisdom, I guess, that you can take out of it. And it can feel overwhelming. It's a lot of information in astrology, but you just take a little bit at a time. And there's beautiful like ways of getting free information now as well.
Yeah, definitely. So now the audience has heard your knowledge and your expertise in this. How can they get in touch with you? Like, they're like, I want a reading done by Brylie. Well, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so I've got a website, www.goddessinasuit. So it's goddess in a suit written out.com. But I'm on Instagram at goddessinasuit as well. Happy to DM me, chat about anything. And I do readings, and also I've started doing astrology beginners courses. So that's really fun too. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us about this course a little bit. What do people learn?
It's just started for this round, and I'm so excited about it. We're learning all the foundations, so the basics of how you can pull up a natal chart and read it. And for me, this isn't just understanding yourself. It means that you can pull them up for your kids if you have them, for your family members, understanding how your friends and family operate. And so it really does the basics. It's not medical based, it's not health based. It's learning the basics of how to read an astrology chart, and look at it from a point of view of not just the logic, but also how it talks to you and the energy behind a chart. Like you said, when you open one up, you actually palpably feel the energy of somebody. So it has that component as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Question, does it have a module on how to ask people for their birth time?
That's so funny. How do I ask someone with a birth time without knowing that I'm going to dive into their chart with every detail?
Literally. So you were born, was it sunrise, sunset? Do you remember what you saw first?
Look, you can get enough from just birthday.
I love that.
You can get enough at just birthday and location, but also
Amazing.
like give them your blessings. If you're opening anyone's chart without permission, give them your blessing.
100%. 100%. I feel into that 100%. Well,
Yeah.
Brylie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Natural Podcast. I feel so blessed to have shared this time with you and for you to have shared your knowledge with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us at Natural Podcast. And remember, you are pure love, capable of living life to its fullest expression.
Content and information provided here is the opinion of Mihaela and is for information purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is not intended to provide medical advice or take the place of medical advice or any current treatment you're undertaking. Consult your own medical professionals for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the Natural Health Podcast. It is advised that you consult your doctor or healthcare professional in relation to any health concerns you may be having. Mihaela does not take responsibility for any health consequences which occur from a person listening, viewing, or reading this content. Under no circumstances shall the Natural Podcast, Mihaela Ragu's, any guests or contributors to the Natural Podcast, or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Mihaela Ragu's be responsible for damages arising from the information provided on the Natural Podcast. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical conditions in either yourself or others. Please note, if you're taking prescription, do not stop your medication or start a new protocol, including but not limited to supplements, diet, lifestyle changes without consulting a doctor or healthcare professional. If you or any person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical advice. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have read or heard on the Natural Podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. Neither Mihaela Ragu nor the publisher of this content takes responsibility for the possible health consequences of any person or persons reading or listening or following the information in the educational content.